Hello everyone, welcome in. This is section 2.2, the second class on space, being titled Basic Perspective, of Mogoon's Coloso class, Fundamentals of Stylized Character Art. So welcome in, it's been a little bit. I've just been getting situated with my schedule, getting class started, keeping on top of my portfolio work, wanting to get ready to get started in commercial work where I can for my art. In due time, that is, with lots of work and progression, so. But in any case, as a side note, Coloso has recently released some classes of different mediums that aren't necessarily my commercial focus, but still very heavily interest me. So if these classes are of interest to you guys, let me know either on my socials or in the comments down below. And I'm more than happy to take a look, see if I can upload some reviews for you guys if that's the kind of content that you guys are looking for as well. So getting into today's class, it was mainly on perspective and a very traditional approach. It seems to be the case moving through classes further and further that Mogoon generally takes a more traditional approach, as mentioned, something that you'd kind of see similar to how they teach in art school, where they really focus on the fundamentals and applying them properly, and then changing them stylistically. So getting into today's notes, the terminology of perspective drawing is what he first defines in order for us to kind of understand on the same page and help better define our perspectives before we start working with them. So the terminology is going to include viewpoint, or really the point of view, which exists within a space and the viewer must exist. That's of any drawing, you know, it's going to exist from a specific view in order to exist as a drawing. And it implies the eye level, which will be a term that we use later in the notes. You've got your line of sight, or the direction of the view, which includes low and high angle perspectives, and it derives to the center of the vision. So if you think eye level as the position in the scene where the view is, the line of sight is going to be how high or low that position is relative to the object that's in sight. The vanishing point, which is the point where parallel lines intersect, or really what's implied to be where the perspective is coming from, is what vanishing point kind of helps define as well. And the vanishing line is where these vanishing points lie, which helps kind of interlace multiple vanishing points, or points where the perspective is coming from. And then your horizon or horizontal line is the infinite plane that's assumed from the viewpoint. And though it is different from the vanishing line, it's generally used unanimously as the vanishing line. They are different, but for the most part, they're generally the same in a lot of perspectives. So they're just implied to be pretty much the same thing. And then getting into perspectives and how to build them for your own use, you've got your 1-point perspective, which to build starts with the center of vision, which lies on the horizon. You've got objects in view, which face directly head on to the point of view, and is a generally unnatural and not very common perspective, so we don't really use it that much, and it's not recommended for most illustrators trying to make aesthetic work. You've got a 2-point perspective, where the center of vision again lies on the horizon like a 1-point perspective, but now the objects in view are rotated, so you can kind of see a little bit more of the dimensions. As the objects are moved further away from the center, the distortion and perspective it will actually worsen and will imply less about the solidity of the shape and its distortion. It's generally applied for huge objects where the top and bottom faces of the object can't be seen, or coincidentally when the center of vision and the vanishing point align on the same point, but generally not else if not for backgrounds. So the main selling points for 2-point perspective is for backgrounds or very, very extreme expressions. But otherwise, it's better than 1-point perspective, but useless and highly distortive. And then we have 3-point perspective, where the center of vision is actually going to be offset from the horizon now, and it's going to be usually below looking down. One vanishing point is going to be placed opposite the side of the center of vision, and the other two are going to be placed on the horizon line. So what this gives is not only the 2 dimensions that we see in a 2-point perspective, where we can kind of see around an object and understand a little bit more about the volume, but we can see either a top-down or a bottom-up view of the object as well and give it really the feeling of 3 dimensions. It's generally the most familiar perspective that most people can see and imply from an object, and distortion occurs according to the horizon and the more the object shifts away from the horizon. And that's sort of what makes 3-point perspective safe in most manners, is that because as the point of view that you're drawing is going to be close to your object, since you're wanting to express the object, it's going to be less distorted and you can still get the value of perspective out of it. And then you get into 4- and 5-point perspectives, which are generally grouped together because they give more of a fisheye feel, and they're fairly similar perspectives. So for 4- and 5-point perspectives, you pretty much have vanishing points surrounding the center of vision. For 4 points, they're going to be on a perpendicular axis with the center of vision as the center, and for a 5-point, that center of vision is actually going to be placed below the horizon, and it distorts further from the horizon line. What that does is it creates a fisheye feel in both perspectives, but generally 5-point gives more vertical dimension, so per se, of that fisheye feel. And like said, these are very, very expressionistic perspectives and are used for dynamic perspectives, and that's kind of about it. The 3-point perspective is going to be the perspective we generally use most in order to show our characters in scenes. And then a good thing to note is that the vertical line vanishing point is generally below the center of vision. This isn't really that important to know, and really it only comes up as a concern when you're drawing objects that are fairly close to the center of vision. So a quick summary, know the aspects that create perspectives and how they're changed to make different perspectives. So know what you're drawing in and how you can kind of change the perspective you're drawing in. 1, 2, 4, and 5-point perspectives are generally used tastefully and for stylistic effect. And with that comes 3-point perspective, which is the most common go-to perspective that we're going to use from most of our drawings. And then the self-assigned homework, which is to draw a cube in each perspective, marking the vanishing points in the center of vision so you understand the cube and the perspective that it's drawn in. So that was section 2.2. It was kind of getting the basic principles we're going to need to know about perspective, so a little bit of dry stuff, but if you are having trouble expressing your character in 3D space and really making it feel realistic and understanding where you might be going wrong, this class might be of help for you. Hopefully this helped, and as always, you guys can leave me any questions or concerns you might have either in the comments below on any of my videos or my socials. I'll try and help answer them where I can. And you guys can always stay on top of my content, schedule, etc. on my socials. I'll link them around here for you guys to visit. Thank you again, guys, for dropping in. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next lecture review. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day. Make sure to take it easy.